Hey. Time for another Out of This World story from rSpace. Here's the setup. You think marriage is a co-op campaign, but it turns out your spouse has been grinding a secret side quest. Today on rSpace, it's game over. My wife and my best friend both betrayed me. I exposed them to all our mutual friends at our game night. I, 34 male, have been married to my wife, 32 female, for just about 6 years now. It's a fake name, but I'll call her Vivian for the sake of this. We met as co-workers at a spot where we used to both work. We both moved on from there, but it has been a big part of our story. We've built a slightly better life for ourselves, and I'd say that as a couple, we have a very average life right now. Considering where we came from, though, that was a win for both of us. Right now, I'll admit that it hurts me to talk about the two of us as a happy couple that has overcome some challenges, because that's not what we can be anymore. Vivian hasn't been faithful to me, and it has really destabilized me mentally, because I didn't see it coming. The worst part is that not only did I find out that she was cheating on me, but I found out who she was cheating on me with, and that made it a lot worse than I can imagine. Vivian and I are both gamers. We like playing video games, and we also like playing physical games, whether it's things like charades, board games like Monopoly, or even tabletop RPGs. We've embraced being nerds in that respect. I don't think that it was relevant, but the company that we were working at when we met was GameStop. If you know that we're both gamers, it won't be that surprising when you hear that we both use Discord a lot. I know that it isn't limited to just gamers, but I could probably argue that gamers are very internet-centric people make up a pretty big demographic of users on Discord. I knew her account on Discord, and she knew mine, as you might expect. The only thing I had no idea of was that she had another account on Discord that she kept a complete secret from me. I found that out by pure luck. She was showing me some videos from her FYP on TikTok, and we came across one of those slideshow posts that was talking about some hidden gem games. She left for the front door to go and pick up our pizza delivery, and when she did, she left her phone with me. I shared the link to Discord because I wanted to send it to myself so that I could reference it later, but when Discord popped up, I didn't recognize the profile picture. When I checked, I didn't recognize the username of the account she was using either. My username wasn't among the accounts she chatted with recently. I had a bad feeling about the whole thing, so when I heard the door coming back, I immediately went back to TikTok and acted like I hadn't been on Discord at all. For the rest of the night, I kept fighting with the urge to question her about it, but I couldn't think of a single good reason for her to have another Discord account that she hadn't told me anything about. The worst part was that she had messages with people on that Discord, and I couldn't tell who they were. So it wasn't like a burner for one purpose. It was like a completely different life she had. As much as I trusted Vivian before then, I was smart enough to know that choosing to confront her would mean that I'd give her the chance to clean up all the evidence and make it seem like nothing was happening. So I realized that I'd rather just keep my emotions to myself and find an opportunity to dig through that Discord account. I had a chance to check on her laptop, but that account wasn't signed in there. So I realized that I was going to have to do it from her phone when I saw the opportunity to. That came to the following night, when she had an early day and she went to sleep earlier than usual. She left her phone charging, so I was able to unplug it and take it to the living room where I opened Discord. She was on her regular account when I opened it, but I was very easily able to switch to her secret account, which had a very different aesthetic. The username and the profile picture were very different, and if I had seen it in the wild, I never would have associated it with her. She was part of a few servers which were gaming focused and nothing scandalous. However, I was more concerned with her private messages. There were 6 people she had chatted with privately. I just decided to read through all of them, and I almost felt relieved when I noticed that the first 3 were regular conversations. There was nothing wrong with them, and I read them from start to finish. However, the 4th one on the list was the one that came in to ruin my life. The other 2 didn't matter. I checked them later. I noticed that the way she spoke with that person was very familiar, but I just assumed that they had gotten to be really good friends. However, I saw that she mentioned them meeting up, and that was when an alarm went off in my head, because there was no reason why she was meant to be meeting online friends, and even if she was, as a married woman, there was no reason why she'd be doing that without telling me about it. It gave me a really bad feeling. I saw her call the person Josh at a point, and I realized that the way the person typed was similar to Josh, who was literally my best friend. It was a common name, and I remember thinking that it could be someone else. However, at a point, she asked him to send the picture that they had taken earlier, and that was when I saw a selfie of her and Josh. So I knew it was my best friend and my wife who were meeting up for some reason. When I kept reading, it became very clear that the 2 of them were sleeping with each other behind my back. They had started talking on Discord about 7 months ago, and through that, there were about 5 instances when it was very clear that they had slept together. Even if they hadn't, there was a lot of very intimate and dirty texting at points. That was more common than the other points that I could confirm that they had slept together. It's really hard for me to explain how it feels to find out that your wife is cheating on you, and it's harder to explain how it feels when you discover that the person she is cheating on you with is your best friend. I had been betrayed by two of the people who owed me loyalty. Whether you want to say it makes me less of a man or not, I cried in the living room. It hurt badly, and I hadn't seen it coming. She had made a secret Discord account to correspond with my best friend regarding the affair. Once I got my feelings out of the way, it felt empty, and I really didn't care what was going to happen after that. I remember that I wanted to wake her up roughly and scare her, but I decided that wasn't going to achieve anything, or it wasn't going to achieve what I wanted. I made sure to document everything that I could with screenshots from her phone. I even used my phone to record her screen. I wanted to make sure that there was no basis for her to deny the proof when the time comes. After that, I plugged her phone back into the charger, and I went to sleep in the living room because I absolutely couldn't bear to sleep beside her. I know that when the time comes, I'm going to make sure that my confrontation absolutely breaks her. I've been broken by her and Josh, and at this point, I'm not going to be the bigger person. I'm going to make sure that I destroy them both in the best way that I can. Edit. I appreciate everyone for their kind words. To be honest, I think I'm going to end with my replying to comments at this point. Talking about it makes me feel better, but at a point, it feels like I'm immersing myself in the pain more than I need to. I will be back with an update soon, as some things are already happening. I'll try to get the update out as soon as I can, but I'm not making any promises. Update 1. Well, I'm back. I know that it has been some time since my last post, but that's the time I needed to be able to get everything sorted out, and now it has been. I'm not divorced yet, but I've confronted Vivian and Josh, and I think that's worth my returning to report on how that went down. I have to mention that Vivian, Josh, and I are all part of the same friend group. There are about 10 of us in total. We met on a server that was dedicated to gaming in our state. Someone asked about those of us who lived in a specific smaller city, and when a few of us indicated we came from together, formed a group, and we all quickly became very good friends. For me, I've always struggled to make friends, so I loved how naturally that worked out. It is also why it hurts so much for the person who I consider to be my best friend to have stabbed me in the back the way he did. I met up with a divorce lawyer and told him about everything that Vivian had done. He asked me a lot of questions about her and how I found out that she was cheating. Then he asked me a lot about our assets, which I explained to him. He said that it was almost impossible that she'd get nothing, even with the infidelity, but he told me that it is likely that I'll be able to come out on top. I know divorce is a rigged game in favor of women, so if I can at least come out of it without being fleeced, then I'll take it. I eventually found out that the divorce papers were ready, but I held off on having her served until I had done what I wanted to do. Like I mentioned, our friend group met up over gaming, and we started a game night twice a month. It was a good way for all of us to have fun, decompress, and socialize with one another. When the next one was coming up, I decided that was where I was going to get my revenge on the two of them. I won't lie, I knew that I was really going to F up the dynamic of the group, but at the end of the day, they were going to take my side. The others were good people, and I could tell that it was going to go my way, even if I made it really awkward. When the game night came around, we started the usual shorter games that we play, which are mostly party games. After that, we played some rounds of video games. We ended the night with Dungeons & Dragons as we always do. After the game was done, I wasted no time in letting everyone know that I had something to say. I let them know that I felt like Josh and Vivian needed to be expelled from the group. Most of the people laughed because I think they assumed that I was saying that based on their play during our D&D game. Someone mentioned that, but I immediately clarified that it had nothing to do with the game, but instead had to do with the fact that the two of them were sleeping with one another. The whole room went quiet, and I saw the two of them share a panicked look. It was quick, but I saw it. I was acting really casual, so I think a lot of them couldn't tell if I was joking or not. Obviously, Vivian and Josh knew that I wasn't. Neither of them could say anything. One of the other people asked me if I was playing some kind of joke on them, but I clarified that I was entirely serious. I let them all know that I had proof of it, and one of the guys there said he wanted to see because he was struggling to believe me. When I brought out the screenshots, pretty much everyone except the two cheaters gathered around me to see what I was showing. At a point when it became obvious that I wasn't lying or joking around, two of them went to sit down, but the others stuck around until I showed them all the most important screenshots. After that, there was little said. I knew that most of them didn't know how to react to that. Josh was the first person to speak, and the approach he took pissed me off. I get it, man, but you couldn't confront me without an audience? I didn't even get the chance to say anything before one of the other women in the group said, "Really, Josh? Really?" I think that was enough for him to shut up. No one was going to take his side. I had done what I had wanted to do, and I chose to save the others the trouble of sitting through the awkwardness. So I told them that I was about to head out, and it'd be a good opportunity for them to follow my lead. They all listened, And with that, everyone, except the couple whose house we used, left. I saw Vivian outside, and I let her know that she'd be better off going home with Josh instead of me. She had an apologetic look on her face and told me that she wasn't going to go do that. She said that she was going to go with me so that we'd have a chance to talk about things. I told her that she could do what she wanted, but if she came with me, I wasn't going to have a single thing to say to her. She chose to go home with me, and the whole car ride home was silent. When we got home, I still didn't say a thing to her. There were points when it was clear she wanted to say something to me, but she couldn't find the courage to, probably because she was scared of how I was going to react. She did give it a shot, but as I promised her, I said nothing. She tried to explain herself and say that it didn't mean anything, and she was sorry, but it went on for 7 months at least, so it meant something to her, even if she would never admit that much. In the morning, she was served with the divorce papers before she headed to work, and that was enough for her to put off work and come to try and plead with me. She begged me to say something because it was killing her, but that only gave me more incentive to say nothing to her, so I maintained that energy. About 3 days later, she told me that she was going to move out of the house. She said that I was breaking her heart, and she couldn't take it anymore. "You say you love me, but you're making me go through all this pain?" I was really tempted to lash out at her because of how stupid that line was, but I restrained myself. I just gave her a really heated look. She ended up moving out of the house the next day, and I've been in the apartment myself since then. I'm happy that I'm alone because it feels like I can think a little straighter now. Without her around, I don't need a constant reminder of the betrayal. I know I can't start healing just yet since the divorce is going to bring its own pain, but hopefully that won't take too long. And once that's done, I'll be able to move on with my life and be a better person without Vivian holding me back. Update 2. It's a massive setback to be cheated on by your wife of 6 years, and it's even worse when you lose your best friend in the process because he was her affair partner. You can choose to complain about it, or you can choose to move on with your life. I chose the second option. Admittedly, it's a lot easier said than done, but I think I'm doing a good job of it. The most important thing that I need to tell you is that we're now divorced, which is major for me. She was served with papers, she signed them sometime after she moved out of the house, and we eventually started the divorce process. As you might expect, we couldn't come up to an agreement in the negotiation phase, so we had to find our way to court, which took some time. I presented all the evidence that I had in the hope that I would sway the judge just a little bit. My attorney also did a very good job making his argument in my favor. After all, that's what he was being paid for. As he had predicted, though, things weren't an overwhelming win for me, but they were a win nonetheless. I kept the apartment, I don't need to pay alimony, and I only had to split the funds I had saved with her. Money can be saved up. The last thing I wanted was to be tied to her with alimony, so it is a win for me to not have to deal with that. Josh reached out to me randomly sometime after the divorce, telling me that he wanted to apologize for what he had done. I told him that I acknowledged his attempt at apologizing, but I was never going to accept it. He had broken up my marriage, and he was trying to act like words were going to fix the situation. I let him know that I resented him and that it was better if he never reached out to me again. If I were more creative, I might have figured out some way to really hit him back, but I couldn't. To be honest, it just wasn't worth it. I was more concerned about hurting Vivian, and that seemed to work well for me. She reached out to me when she was going through a lot of stress, and she said that I was the only one who knew how to make her feel better. None of the people from the friend group wanted anything to do with her anymore, and she didn't know where to start with explaining what she was feeling with her other friends. I told her that was tragic, but I wasn't going to feel sorry for her because of stress. I told her that she had given me some more stress and sadness than I deserved, so I didn't give a crap what she was going through, and that she'd get through it or not. After that call, I called her dad and her brother on a whim to let them know the exact reason we had gotten divorced. From their reactions, I knew that they didn't know exactly what had happened, and I knew that they'd give her hell for it. It felt good to know that she was about to have some more stress to deal with. She called me crying a few hours later, saying that I didn't need to do that. I told her that she didn't need to cheat on me, but she did it anyway, didn't she? I let her know that she should be grateful because that was where I was going to end things with her. I wasn't going to talk to her ever again. Before I could hang up, she said she had one last thing to say. She hesitated and then said, "I'm really struggling finding a new apartment I could afford. It's hard for me to say, but could you help me out with some..." I don't know what she said after that because I hung up and then blocked her. She'll be fine, and so will I. At the end of the day, if you're cheated on, the best you can do is try to be strong and get over it. Right now, it hurts like hell. But like all heartbreaks, I hope that this is something I'll look back at some point and just laugh. It's hard to imagine right now, but I think it's possible. Just wish me luck, I guess. After detonating your entire life, she's got the nerve to come crawling back with, "I'm stressed." Girl, you caused the stress. And the cherry on this dumpster sundae? Asking for money. Ma'am, You're lucky he didn't invoice you for emotional damage. That silence you gave her? Brutal and perfect. Sometimes the sharpest blade is indifference. Let her have the phone calls and the pity. You saved yourself the noise. Be kind to yourself, OP. You didn't fail. You were played. Share your thoughts with us in the comments below. And thank you for joining us today on rSpace. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video. See you next time.